Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of InRange. We're actually kind of doing an Eye of the Tiger thing here, where we're trying to get Ian ready for the hardest held 2-gun.
Yes.
Not that you're not ready, that's not the right statement, but the reality is this. Surprisingly, on Forgotten Weapons, and as well as on InRange, you and I shoot a wide variety of guns in a wide variety of environments.
Yes, we do.
And you know what that's good for? It's good for giving you a broad understanding of how to handle a broad variety of guns in a broad environment.
Yeah.
What it's not good at is giving you the best possible times and skill set with a specific rifle.
Right.
So you learn a lot, but at the same time you're sacrificing some of the time and better scores you could have with something if you stuck with it consistently.
Right.
You know that whole adage, beware the man with one gun? There's some truth to that.
Skill range is wide, but shallow.
Correct. So
if you want to be competing to win, you kind of need a skill range that's narrower and deeper.
Or, not necessarily to win, because we don't necessarily expect to win our trooper division at Hard as Hell,
True.
but to provide the best possible score that you can.
Right.
As well as to be highly proficient with at least one weapon system.
Yep.
Fair enough. And if you're going to do that, I think it's arguable that in today's world, what you want to be highly proficient with is either this,
Yeah.
or an AK.
Yeah.
Okay, either one. That's up to you.
Given the option.
We're going with ARs,
Yes.
specifically because of our project. So
Yep.
one of the things we want to talk about today, besides doing drills, which will be another video, is the 2-point adjustable sling. I did a video a while back where I talked about the 3-point sling and threw it in the trash snarkily, and I was not kidding. That is really what I think of the 3-point sling. We saw some people that felt otherwise. Cool guys, if you have success with it, more power to you. I have found them to be nothing more than a mess. I have found single-point slings to have a niche and usable value
Yep.
in some conditions, but the 2-point sling works in almost every possible guise you'd need it to work in.
Yep.
Works
Now,
as, go ahead.
no, I like 2-point slings as well. In fact, I really like 2-point slings. That's, if one of my rifles has a sling, it has a 2-point sling on it.
Yes.
But it's not a 2-point sling with all this extra crap on it.
Fair enough, yeah.
I begin this dubious about the importance of, you know what? A 2-point sling is strap, hook, goes on the rifle.
You sprung that on me in the video. I didn't know you had that opinion. So that's a good point though. So, you know, slings have, a lot of things have changed over time. You know, the original US sling was used as a marksmanship tool.
Yes.
And it can be used for being slung up as a hasty sling or from prone or sitting or whatever. But it's not quick adjust. You adjust it to the position you're going to be in and then use it as support.
Right. Yeah, it's a sling used for national match shooting, not for actual combat.
Got a little better when they changed them into nylon or cotton. And they had like not a quick adjust, but it had a more easy to adjust. Yeah, it had a slider. It didn't have hooks. Okay,
right.
That got better, and so you could adjust it. But still, while you could use it for marksmanship, the truly intended purpose was to just make it longer or shorter to carry it as a carry strap.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
The reality is the sling, the modern sling, can still be used as just a carry strap, but it can also be used as a marksmanship aid. It can also be used to carry your gun in a more dynamic environment.
Okay.
Which we expect Hard as Hell 2-gun to be.
Yes, we do.
Things like you need to retain your rifle, switch to your pistol. Things like you might be climbing up or down a wall. Things you might need to carry something while your rifle is with you. These are things that in certain match environments and certainly in the real world are real world expectations.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan and proponent of the Viking Tactics 2-point sling. There are a number of them on the market. I'm not saying this is the only one. This is the one I have the most time with. This is the one we're going to work with.
And this is the one that you have foisted on me.
It
I
is.
have the exact same thing, but set up left-handed, where yours is set up right-handed.
I was very kind when I set up Ian's rifle and that it is set up for a left-hander. But the same rules will apply.
Right.
And what we're going to go through today is really, sounds crazy, but a manual of arms of how to effectively deploy and use a 2-point sling.
Yeah.
Because, go ahead.
And we'll see if I come out of this with a new appreciation for what the extra widgets and crap on this sling can do.
So what I'm going to do is demonstrate some of the stuff you can do with it. You're going to then try to replicate that, and then at the end we'll get some conclusions.
All right.
Let's try it. All right, let's start with the basic principles of the Viking Tactics 2-point sling. And by the way, we are not promoted by Viking Tactics, I just like the product. So there are 2 adjustment points on the Viking Tactics. There's this long tail, which initially seems very annoying, and actually Ian can vouch for this, has never ever gotten in my way or caught up on anything. Now that I've said that, it's gonna happen, but it has never happened to me ever in all the years I've used it. This is what makes the sling shorter, okay? Down to the furthest extent, and you can see that it is now very tight against my body. To loosen the sling, there is another lever with a little tinier string on it, and as I pull it, it gets longer. So there is an art to how you adjust this sling dependent on how you want to use it. Right now, what I'm looking for is for it to be just long enough that I can change sides or shoulders ambidextrously without choking myself to death. So when I bring the gun up, this is obviously fairly loose. To go to an ambidextrous handling, I slide my support hand through the sling, go to Israeli, where it's just over my neck, and I should be able to push out and bring it to my left shoulder. When I bring it back to my right shoulder, support hand goes through, and it should be just long enough to do that without choking myself. So let's try that now with Ian.
This might be too short. We'll try it. Ready? So then I want to arm through. that's putting a little pressure on the neck, but that actually works.
You got there. So that what you want it to be is just tight enough that it's comfortable when you switch shoulders, but you still can switch shoulders.
This is honestly, it's a little too tight for me just normally because it's pulling up under my arm.
So then loosen it slightly.
And I'm going to clarify, this is just a release.
Correct.
Loosen it to there. All right, let's try it again. That's nice and comfortable. That works too.
Perfect. I think you set up the length.
You're always going to get, I mean, this part of the sling is going to wrap around the front of your neck, so you're always going to have it in contact there.
That's acceptable. Remember, this is an emergency situation in which you're switching sides for ambidextrous handling. And then once you're done, you're going to go back to your standard strong side. All right, so we saw Ian successfully do this. I'm going to go through this very slowly, step by step, so you can do this at home. I am now in my standard 2-point configuration with the sling draped over my strong shoulder at the length I want it to be at. I can come up and aim normally, not an issue. If I need to switch sides, I bring the gun up, I bring my support hand through the sling, which makes it behind my neck, bring the gun over to my support side, and I'm ready to go. When I'm done with that, I want to go back to my strong side sling configuration. I bring the gun over, bring my support hand through the sling, and I can drop it back down over my support or my strong shoulder. Easy peasy. We mentioned that the original US slings could be used for marksmanship enhancement, especially when offhand. Same thing can be done with this. You don't necessarily use it as a hasty sling, but what you want is a third point of tension on the rifle. Since we have free-floated tubes, the barrel is not impacted by this, we can do this. So when we bring the gun up to aim, it's draped over my strong shoulder as it normally would be. And as I'm aiming the rifle, I grab the sling and tighten it until I feel tension in the system. So it's now draped around my neck, underneath my support arm, through my armpit, and it's tight. So when I bring the gun up, I form a triangle. Having that triangle means I've got a point of contact here, a point of contact here. My cheek is on this, getting a sight picture, and this sling is applying tension to the left. When I form it together, I form essentially an isosceles triangle, and the gun's far more stable in offhand. If you needed to take a long range or precision offhand shot, this sling can enhance you, or enhance your capabilities in that regard.
All right, so pseudo hasty sling. Now, Carl, I'm curious. I know about hasty sling, but I don't use it much. Is there a benefit to it here compared to a regular carry strap?
Well, in my opinion, with a hasty sling, you have to have the length of the sling different depending on the position you're going to use it for support in, either offhand, sitting, or prone, which is a problem. And this quick adjusts to the length you need it to be to apply the tension you want in any position.
Okay.
It also quick releases, meaning it's much easier to get in and out of than a hasty sling. So in my opinion, you're more likely to be able to use this more dynamically than you could a traditional hasty sling.
Okay, well, let's give it a try. Right here, grab, yank.
And you should be, exactly. You should be able to apply light tension with your support hand, and the gun should pretty much just lay there on your sight.
Now, because of the position of the sling, it is trying to cant the rifle over a little bit.
Right, obviously now your strong hand on the pistol grip will prevent that. But you should be forming a triangle that gives you a very firm, strong position pointed at your target.
The sling's pulling this way, and my hand is providing reverse force pushing that way.
And therefore you've got more points of contact, and you have, probably you should see the actual sight stabilize.
Yeah,
and if you were to loosen the sling and look, it should be much more wobbly, especially at range.
Yeah. Does this work prone as well?
It does. It works in any position. You just have to have the sling tighter, as I mentioned in the intro.
All right, let's give it a try. I want to try it prone.
Go for it. Tight enough?
Yeah.
So what you should be able to do is be on your sight, have a natural point of aim on the target you're trying to aim at, and your support hand should loosely just, literally the rifle lays on it. You're not applying any tension with your support hand.
And the gun should be... I got fingers doing nothing here.
And the sling should do all the job for you, and all you need to do is pull the trigger while aiming at the target.
That's pretty slick.
And then, once you get up, you can just quick adjust, and you are done and out of that. And ready to move. And that's the big difference between this and a standard traditional hasty sling, in that you can get in and out of it much quicker. So let's go through those steps once again, just to reinforce how you could use this 2-point sling as a marksmanship aid. It is loose right now as I have it, as I'm carrying it for retention, but when I bring it up on the target, I tighten this to the point where it's got a lot of tension, and I essentially form a triangle. My support hand's just pushing against it, and I can just relax, and it lays on the target. That's all you need to do from the offhand position. Let's go ahead and try that from prone. I'm going to loosen it up very quickly. Go prone. Now I'm aiming. It's not extremely stable. I'm going to tighten this probably to its furthest extent. Snap in, as the Marines say, and I can just let my hand relax, which you can see. And as I sit here, this is a completely stable gun. When I'm done with that, I just pull this, loosens up, and we're done. We're out of that position. Let's move on to our next sling use. All right, so one of the things that you'll see obviously in the practical real world, but also in some of the more dynamic match environments, and not always even 2G ACM, because this is something you either have to do with a cleared gun or in a training environment with really switched on people, because these could be hot guns.
Right, we're going to be breaking 180s.
Oh, hell yeah. We're going to break a lot of 180s here, and that's not a match environment. Hard as Hell has some rules that allow for some of this, so we might see this at the match.
Okay.
Now, for you at home, if you're practicing this, obviously, do this with an unloaded gun. Check your chamber, check your chamber again, dry fire the gun, at a safe position,
Mine's
close,
just locked open.
or locked open, just because. You know, unloaded guns suddenly become loaded. And
weird how that happens sometimes.
And so this is something when you're first practicing it, make sure that your gun's in a safe condition.
Yep.
So what we're going to do here is we're going into a situation in which this is not just retention to draw my pistol, we're going to go into what we can call backpack carry.
And this I'm looking forward to. Because that's one thing that a typical carry strap does not do very well that can be handy. Because I've done that. Like between stages, I like to throw it over my back and carry it around out of the way, but that's a complex endeavor with it often with a standard just carry strap.
And it's either too long or too short.
Yeah.
Right? So this Viking Tactics, or any other 2-point sling for that matter, allows you to carry muzzle up or muzzle down. Let's start with muzzle up, because in my opinion it's the more dynamic one and the one you would probably use at a match. So as an example, you're in a stage, blamity blamity blamity, oh, I gotta jump a 8-foot wall.
Okay.
Could happen, right? So going muzzle up is the easiest way to do it. You sling it up and then you can climb the wall.
Let's see it.
We'll demonstrate that now. Okay, so I'm here in my normal position, ready to go, right? So I'm going to go ahead and throw this over my shoulder. What I do is I just tension it to the tightest tension already, and then I literally grab the gun, throw it over my shoulder. Now, I would have broken the 180, so that's something you need to think about in certain match environments, but it's now on my back, I am hands-free, I can move, run, jump walls, pick up kettlebells, whatever, right? Now I'm over the wall and I need to bring the gun back into action. Grab the rear of it, just bring it around my body. When it's in front of me, release the sling to its proper length, and I'm ready to go. So do you reiterate? Tighten it all the way, throw it over. Done, back around. Whoop. That happens. And then loosen it. That's all there is to it. Why don't you try it, Ian?
Okay. I do also like the fact that this works left and right-handed.
Oh yeah, you just got to set it up appropriately on your gun.
All right. So I will be throwing this way.
Correct. So aim as though you were aiming the gun normally. All right, you need to go to backpack carry to go over a wall. Okay, go over the wall. Bring your gun back into action. That's all there is to it. So let's go ahead and go to the other form of administrative backpack carry.
Okay. Because I've got some sharp, pointy bits on this side of the gun.
You do, and that's part of the nature. I'm gonna just walk back on camera. Oh yeah.
Yeah, mostly it's this.
Oh
rest
dude, your gun's
effector.
broken. You're missing something.
No,
What are you gonna do when it malfunctions?
It doesn't malfunction.
Or you could just clear it a different way, huh? Anyways, that's another topic. So let's not go there. So let's go. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate, but what we're talking about here is instead of muzzle up, we're going to be muzzle down. Okay. So this is actually the more comfortable way.
Yeah.
Although it's not as quick to get in and out of. So I would consider this a more administrative position, moving from stage to stage, hiking, whatever you need to do.
The one other thing that does occur to me is if I'm slinging something over my back, I'm probably not going to be wearing a loose shirt like this.
Probably not.
At Hard as Hell, I'm going to have some sort of backpack on with all my stuff for the match.
Which, by the way, helps quite a bit.
All the pointy stuff will be digging into my backpack and not into me.
This is an advantage in armor.
Yeah.
When you've got rifle plates on, throwing stuff on your back or a gun on your back with sharp points don't matter.
Right.
In fact, you can run into a wall and go, ugh, and just fall over it. But that's a whole nother topic.
All right,
so
let's see this other mode.
So to go to muzzle down, this gun's actually pointed in the wrong direction. So as we discussed earlier, when we do an ambi, we're going to switch and switch. Got it? And at that point, I then tighten this all the way and put it behind my back. That's all there is to it. Now when I want to bring it back, I grab the release, loosen it, come around, switch, switch, and I'm back to normal. Let me demonstrate that one more time. I'm in my firing position, I come down. Support arm goes through, strong arm goes through, I have switched shoulders, tighten it to its full extent, and then just put it behind my back. To bring it back, I look for my release, release it, bring it around, support arm goes through, excuse me, strong arm goes through, support arm goes through, back to normal.
Slower, but more comfortable.
You ready to try it?
Yeah. Yeah, this looks easy. Drop there. That.
Perfect.
It took me a minute. I had to think I wasn't putting it this way. I'm putting it that
So
way.
now to go back, you're going to release the release to make it longer. And then, nope, arms through.
Although,
You could do that. However, to get back to normal, arms through. All right, we got one more thing to show.
okay.
We're going to violate the 180 so egregiously that people are going to probably wet themselves at home.
Oh boy.
All right, so this is in a situation you may not always want to be slung up. So, I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes you may have a situation which the sling is literally dangling like this.
My gun has caught fire. I no longer want this on me.
You don't know what the condition could be, but this happens. In some situations, you don't want to be slung up. I'm aware of stories in which someone was slung up. I'm saying it was a SWAT team enforcing going into a room. They were doing some room clearing, and the perp got in the way, grabbed the guy who was tied up in his 3-point MP5 sling, and started banging him against walls like he was a ragdoll. That's a true story, by the way. And they had to go pretty much save this guy because he was caught up in his sling so badly that he couldn't get out of it. The gun was being used as a weapon against him.
Okay.
So there may be situations, and I don't know if that's one of them, where you may not have the sling on your body. Okay. So at this point, there is still a possibility for quick retention and switching to your pistol. I'm not going to draw my pistol, but I'm going to show the quick retention of the rifle. So at this point, this, by the way, is excellent for a non-adjustable 2-point sling if you don't happen to have one, or on an AK that's not adjustable. You make it long enough for this purpose. This is actually a little long, so I'm going to tighten a little bit. Something about, maybe about that. So you can actually leave this. Now, obviously, this is a trip catch hazard. But on an AK, this is frequently how I do it with a non-adjustable. So, bangity, 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 I need rid of this. So, let me repeat that.
That looks cool and fast.
It does. So, here I am, I'm shooting, I need to get rid of the rifle. Transition. Broke every 180 possible. If you're doing this in real life, you would engage the safety before throwing it over your head. However, if you're in an environment where you need to get rid of the rifle but keep it, and you don't have it slung to your body, that's the way to do it.
Okay.
So why don't you go ahead and try that.
Okay, so that,
All right, that looks good.
and I am going to,
Quite legitimately, you throw it over your head.
and over
Put your
one
arm through it, throw it over your head.
Which arm? Support or strong or weak?
It
He's having to try it.
support hand.
Muscle memory.
Your support hand goes through it. There you go. Little kludgy, but let's try it again.
Bang, bang, bang.
Done. All there's to it.
Wow.
Yep. Now that will work with any sling, adjustable or not, as
Okay.
long as it's long enough. If it's too
Right.
short, you will choke yourself. Seriously. Good to go.
I was expecting that to really hurt when it hit my back, and it actually doesn't.
Legitimately doesn't, and it certainly doesn't with these lightweight Stoner 2017 rifles we built.
That's true.
Let's go ahead and, okay, I'll get with you here.
Yeah, but that's cool.
Remember, do this only with a cleared gun. However, once
Obviously,
you,
yes.
it's kind of like potato chips. Once you start doing that, you know what happens?
Whee!
You start doing it all the time. So, boil it down. So in reality, the Israeli sling method, which is behind the neck like this at the right length, kind of gives you, if you don't have an adjustable sling, this is the most dynamic sling position.
Okay.
You can retain the rifle, and you can still switch shoulders, and you can do a lot of stuff with it. You can also take it off and get rid of it real quick.
Okay.
Now, this all looks smooth. Oops, except for that. But it's not smooth unless you do it a lot. So this is something that there's a manual of arms, believe it or not, to proper sling manipulation, especially with a 2-point adjustable.
Right.
However, this video, and hopefully, by the way, Viking Tactics has a sling video very similar to this where they demonstrate the same thing about their product.
Okay.
And let me reiterate, they're not the only product. There are others. Blue Force Group, Magpul, there's a lot of them out there. I happen to prefer this sling. Even though we are not sponsored by them, I just really like the product. Simply put.
I think we're allowed to like stuff.
You know what? We're not on the internet. You're not allowed to like stuff on the internet because you're instantly a shill, but that's not the case here. This is not sponsored content. Anyways, so I think that this video has probably given you at least the basic building blocks of how to use an adjustable 2-point sling to the best of its capabilities. There's some other tricks you can do, but this is the stuff. If you can master all of these, you've got the toolbox.
Yep.
Go ahead.
It's a cool, easy thing to practice at home, too.
It is with an empty gun. Even you can
Yeah.
even take the bolt carrier group out, and then
Yeah.
you have no concerns whatsoever. So this is something you want to practice for dynamic environments, real world environments, certain match environments, and I think you're going to want to get some of this under your belt so that it's essentially intuitive.
That's the thing, is you need to practice it, because what I can already see, if I just leave it here and go home, and then at hard as hell, it's like, oh, I need it on my back. I'm going to be fumbling with it. If I haven't practiced it enough to make it really just kind of a subconscious thing, kind of like every other gun manipulation.
Sure is. This is just another one to keep in the toolbox.
Yeah.
So hopefully you guys found this to be valuable and you like this deep dive into the proper and practical use of the 2-point adjustable sling. If you do like it, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We are totally a Patreon viewer-supported endeavor, and we are very thankful for you guys because you have made this incredible. If you can't, please just subscribe to the channels and share this content with your friends, and hopefully you learn something and we learn something in the process too. Thanks a lot.